All right, guys, welcome to class. Welcome to class.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're looking already at, well, done with Linux Essentials, and then we started looking at how to install services. And then we said there are all kinds of services. Some you may have heard of, some you may not have heard of. But the general process for installing services. The process for installing services is generally the same. At the end of the day, it's about the command for Red Hat. It's about the command yum install. Yum install sudo if you are not logged in as root, then you can invoke root privileges using sudo. All right, so excuse me. We installed one service. We want to install one more, maybe two more, maybe even three more, just to get the better understanding of how services are installed. All right. So let's go ahead and install one more service now. Today, right now, I want to install and configure web services. You know what that means? You remember when we installed the IIS for Windows? And then we said with this one, we're not able to host, excuse me. We're not able to host web pages on our intranet. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. You can see my notes. We're trying to do the equivalent of that in Linux. Well, in Linux, it's not called IIS. It's called varying names in Linux. You have HTTPD, you have Tomcat, you have Nginx. Your project, I encourage you to use Nginx so that you'd have seize the opportunity to learn how also to install that. And then in DevOps, we'll use Tomcat throughout. In fact, we'll not even remember that HTTPD exists. But essentially, in your resume, you are going to have HTTPD, Tomcat, Nginx as your experience in the deployment of web service. That you have deployed HTTPD, you have deployed Tomcat, you have deployed that, because you will learn the other two later. But right now, this is how to deploy HTTPD. You already know what HTTPD means. It's the Linux equivalent of IIS. So since you know what IIS means, there's no need to wait so much. All right? So if you want to make your Linux server a web server so you can host web pages on that server, then you must first of all convert it to a web server by the installation of web service. One web service is HTTP. D always accompanies the names of service. Like I said before, firewall D, NTP D, HTTP D, FTP D. The last D there means it's a service. But be wondering, service does not start with this. Actually, daemon, which is like a service running in the another program running in the background of the system. Okay, so that's another name for service. All right, that's about the theory. So let's go ahead and install. So what we do now is, let me see. Yeah, you can see my note. I deliberately put it side by side, Control Z. Why is it starting at 8? Start at. All right. So side by side to let you know. What is the name of the service you want to install? It's HTTPD. So Google will tell you that the name of the service that, when I say Google will tell you that, I mean, you are about to install service and you have no idea what the name is and how to go about it. Okay, so Google will tell you the name of the service that does web services for Linux is HTTPD, or are these ones? Which of them do you want to? All right. Is this service already installed? How do you find out? The command is repository manager. All right. And then you say minus query all. Query all. That's how to remember. You say minus query all, and then what do you have? It will query all the services. I hope you can see. Of course, that's too long. That was too long. You didn't see what you were looking for. So you could do, okay, you know what? Query all, but one page at a time. You could do more, so I can check page by page. Or better still, query all, but not one page at a time. In fact, just grep for me HTTPD. And then it looks through and returns nothing. Without telling you it's a bad command, it just returns nothing. So what does this mean? It means that the HTTPD is not listed among installed services. Therefore, you can conclude that HTTPD is not installed. Okay, so now that we believe that it's not installed, all of this is really just exercising, just trying to revise how to use commands. Otherwise, what I normally do is just go straight and install. If it's already installed, tell me it's installed. So no need to waste time. Well, I'm just deliberately going through all of this just by way of revising some of these commands. All right, so finally, we want to install now. What's the command to install? Is yum install. That's always the command. Yum install. Yum install what? HTTPD. However, installation is not, okay, let's just press enter. All right, tells you you need to be root to perform this command. All right, so installation is not something anybody can do. So you need to be root. Because you are not root, you use sudo. All right, and then you press enter. Who are you? If you are sudo, enter your password, and then it goes through. Is this okay? You want to continue? You press Y for yes. And that is it. Your HTTPD is installed. What could be simpler? HTTPD is installed. Installed is HTTPD. Just that simple. That's how to install service. But of course, you know that every service has a configuration file that you can manipulate, you can edit, you can modify in order to do all of that for the service. So you do have a service installed, but you don't have to use it the way it is presented to you. So there is what do I liken that to? There is a file that it takes instructions from. So you can go there and edit that file with additional instructions or remove instructions, just so that you now tell this service specifically how to behave for you. It doesn't have to behave the default way. All right. So like we already know, services are saved in the folder called etc. And because you are going into system files, you will not be allowed in until you are sudo. And then this particular service, okay, let's even say you don't know where it is, but you remember that your teacher said it's saved in etc. So why don't you just go into etc? Say cd etc. All right, so are we in etc? Sudo cd etc. Cd etc. There's no need for sudo yet. Oh, etc. cd etc. All right, so we're in etc now. All right, ls minus l. Oh, so many. Okay, is there any directory called HTTPD? Because that's the service we're interested in. All right. So grep for HTTPD. There's nothing like that there in etc. All right. Let's see. No, I didn't get the command right. I should say ls minus l. Then don't display everything. Just filter for HTTPD. Oh, yes, there is a direction like that. Oh, that's fine. So let's go into the directory cd httpd. All right, what's inside here? Is there a configuration file here? That's a directory, that's not a file, this is a directory, this is a directory, this is a link, this is a link. No, it's not here. So which directory do I go into? Anyway, you are knowing now, but if you were to guess, then you want to go into configuration conf. This is cd conf ls-l, and then there is this one. Look at this. Any configuration files end with .conf. So you now say cd httpd.conf, or you just copy that and paste. No, it's not cd. It's not a directory. We want to configure. So first of all, the file name is .conf, and this time we're entering in, so it will be sudo and then vi. All right, so this is it. This is it. This is the configuration file. Well, I'm just showing you the configuration file. If you want to change something, make sure you know what you are changing. If you don't know enough to change anything, then the default will work for you. Just leave the default. But I'm just showing you now that this is the equivalent, the attached configuration file to that service HTTPD. And like you already know, most commands you would need are already written there, but disabled. All right? So that when you need to enable it to say, oh, I like this command, I like to, then you can uncomment. You remove the comment. Okay? It's not something like this. So this is just English. Do not add a slash. This is just teaching you how to use something. Do not add a slash to the end of the comment. If you remove this comment now, it doesn't make any sense. So the system will hang. But when I say command, something like this, for example, server root is that. You can say, oh, no, I don't like that. You can comment it if you know what you are doing, for example. And then, of course, you also know, oh, my listening port is port 80. No, I don't want to use port 80. I want to use port 81 or something. Again, you learn the details of all of that in some other, right? In some other courses. All right. So the idea is not to go through this line by line. The idea is you can use this file to configure actually, but to modify how that service behaves. All right. But right now, we're not changing anything here. All right. Deny access to entirety of your server life system. You must do this. You must do that. Don't worry, you're going to configure enough configuration files later on. But for now, we don't need to configure. Okay, let me exit here. So I'll press exit and I'll say, don't save, just quit. All right, so that was the configuration file, even though we didn't change anything. Well, you know, we already did the work we came here to do, to install service. Now there is something I want to show you. You remember that in IIS, after we installed IIS, we had to modify the index.html. In fact, let's go and browse this site now so that you see what I mean. What's this IP address of this server? I want to browse it. What's the IP address of this server? Okay, let us browse it from the same system. To browse a web server from itself, we don't need the IP address. What do we need? Anybody remember? What do we call it? We are browsing from itself. Let's quickly on its own. You know, we're not on the internet, so we cannot live here. We're on the intranet or the local area network, so to speak. So we'll remain here and then we'll go to its own Firefox. And because we are referring to the system from itself, we are going to call it localhost. We'll go to browser and we'll say localhost. That's all you do. Just localhost. Not .com, not .any. Just localhost. Unable to connect to itself. Okay. Okay. Find out why. Somebody was asking about host files the other day. All right. So then let us refer to its IP address. Let's browse it by its IP address. Is it localhost we should type? Okay, never mind. Let's go to its IP address. What's the IP address of this system? I don't remember. So let's quickly go and find out. Let's quickly find that. Go to this place and say if config for this interface or more 192.168.100.9. All right, so let's go and enter that. So this is a browser. How many browsers pages do we have open? 192. Do you remember it? 168.100, right? .90. Okay. Okay. There's a problem. There's a problem. There's something we have not done. So the system is okay. You can see it's not working. So let's troubleshoot. We thought it was working, but it's not working. So anytime we install and configure, modify the configuration file, we have to let the system know that something has happened. The system is not aware of what we have done. So let's let the system know that we have done something. What's that command? System ctl restart. What service this time? http.service. But like I said, no need to add .service. So many things going wrong. Is there something I'm forgetting? Let's look at it. Okay, so yeah, I'll come back to this. I wanted to show you something before I come. System CCLE restart HTTPD. Okay, yeah. So what did I not do right there? Clear first of all, and then CD. Let's return to this Akin in America server. Yes. So I said system CTL, system CTL, restart HTTPD. Why did it not work? The first thing. What's my password? All right, so it worked now. So maybe, okay. So normally when it works, the next thing you do is systemctl enable. So instead of taking me to that password place, let me just do sudo. Sudo was what took me there. So sudo system ctl enable that service HTTPD. All right, and then my password. Okay, so now that we have restarted the system is now aware that it is a web server. All right, so if it's a web server, then let's go and use it to do web servers too. So we come here and we enter the IP address. Okay, it's still not loaded. Local host. Not this. No, I do not intend it to browse the internet. Okay, did I get the IP address from? Let me do if config. 192.168.100.19. Right, so that's what I want to browse. Okay, come here and do 192.168.100.19. All right, it's working now. So I'm sure you are seeing my little bit. I don't know what mistakes I'm making, but you're observing it, I believe. So just calm down, write everything. So what does this say? How do I know it's working? Let's read what it says. So it says, this page is used to test proper operation of the Apache HTTP server after it has been installed. If you can read this page, it means that this site is working properly. This server is powered by Single. All right. So you are done with your own part of setting up a web server for the web developers or for the application developer. All right. All right. Suppose we want to change this default web page, this testing page, to something like, oh, we did it. Just put a web page there, just a web page. All right. What you do in that case is you do this. The web page must be called index.html and must be saved here. Remember that even in the case of IIS, we have to save it in a particular folder. In this case, you save it in this folder as well. All right, let's quickly go and change this content, put an index.html there so we can come back here and browse. All right. We'll come here. No, I'm going to here. I'm coming here. So I say cd var www.html. All right. So this is the place. Cd var www.html. All right, this is the place. ls minus l. There is nothing here. So let us create an index file here. And put it in. Very simple. How do you create a file? You can touch, or you can just do vi straight away. It will be sudo vi because this is not your directory. Sudo vi index.html. Index.html. All right. So this is, no, let's insert. This is only the test page to see the working of HTTPD. That's all. So we escape. Then we write quit, bang. All right. So when we have created the file, there is no need to do anything. It's already done. So let's go back to the browser and see if it can now pick this new file in place of this other one. So we'll refresh. Yes, it has picked the file. So that is how to put a web page in your web server. All right, but this is an intranet, and we have another server. So let's try and well, not an intranet in the real technical sense. But what I'm just trying to say is, want to reserve the word intranet for Windows operating system. But this one is bigger than intranet. It's an enterprise. So let us test from another Linux server to see if it can browse this same site, because both servers belong to the same enterprise, right? So let's load the other Linux server. And then let's see if this other Linux server can browse us inside. All right. Earlier on, when we work from here, this is not localhost. Did I forget something? What am I doing? Why did localhost not? Okay, localhost is working. Okay. So when you are working from the system and your address is addressing itself, it's called localhost. What about if we want to connect to this web page from this other system across the network? Are we going to call it localhost? No. It is localhost if we are operating from the same system where the server resides. All right. So in this case, we are going to enter the IP address of that system. Where's my browser? Applications, Firefox. What's the IP address of that server? Do you remember? Of the web server. In cloud, you will see how you can register that IP address as a domain name, and how you can register a domain name, sorry, and then use a record to point the domain name to that IP address. But for now, since we don't have a domain name mapped to that IP address, we'll address it directly by its IP address. Do you remember the IP address of the web server? 192.168.100.19. We should be able to browse. It's not connecting. It's not connecting. All right, so this is the only way we can connect. There's no domain name, there's no host. So I believe everything is right. We did everything correctly. That's why it is working there. What do you think the problem might be? Why would it not connect? All right, so generally the problem here is firewall. There's a firewall on this other end that is preventing this packet from accessing HTTP. So what you want to do for now, I'm going to show you how to open a particular port and not bring down the whole firewall. But for now, what you want to do is bring down the firewall to see if this guy cannot penetrate. So come here, go to your command line interface, and then stop firewall. The command to stop firewall is system ctl. Instead of enable or restart, you now say stop firewall. D, you add D to the firewall, meaning it's a firewall service, firewall demo. All right, so we say stop firewall D. And then, oh, I forgot to do sudo. So now it gives me the opportunity to enter my password. All right, and it returns without complaint. Now let's come back here. Haven't stopped the firewall that we believe was preventing this guy from going into the server through port 80. We'll come here and we'll refresh. There's no more firewall. It's now working. All right. So the problem was port 80 was blocked on the server. Now that port 80 is open by the stopping of firewall, we are now able to browse the website. All right, so we have successfully installed, configured, and then browse from across the network our HTTPD web server. Any questions? We have learned one more application, one more service. I believe everybody's following, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Well, all right. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's go ahead and learn more services. So let's, we just brought up this one to test. We can minimize that one again, and then focus on this one. So you have everything in your notes. Everything we just did, you have it here. All right, let's go on. Let's do one more service. What's the next service? Project one. Okay, I actually call this one the first thing. The project one is configure FTP configuration. FTP, file transfer protocol. Okay, let me explain to you what FTP is. And then we'll come back here and we do the configuration. Okay, so share. Now, you have a network. You have a network. Your network would normally be like this. Your, yeah, even if it's cloud network, normally I'll try to avoid cloud terms now. Let's still focus on it. So this is your network with many systems there, one for MD, one for CEO, one for accountant, I mean your corporate network. But this time, maybe instead of Windows, you are running Linux because of the so many advantages after you are Linux engineer. Now you have a contractor that you have given some analytics job to do on behalf of this company XYZ LLC. All right. So through the internet, this contractor has completed the work and is attempting to connect to your network so that it can give you, I mean, it can deliver the work to, maybe you wanted to send it to MD, this MD system. But once the traffic, the packet from this network, from what do we call it? contractor gets to this company, it bounces back. Just like when we're attempting to browse our web server, it was not allowed in, right? It bounced back and we're not able to browse. So the same way, because of this firewall covering everywhere, this firewall, and then of course, network access list and some, but for now, just firewall. So it's not able to penetrate, it's not able to come in to deliver the finished product, the file to anywhere in this company. And then this is actually a case scenario in one of our earlier classes. And then there was this meeting say, IT person, how come this man says he's been trying to send our file, he's not able to come in? And the IT person says, oh yes, because there's a firewall, nobody's allowed to come in. All right. One thing we can do is give him access to come in, but let us just create a general solution so that this problem, because if we create a peculiar solution for this particular problem, every time we'd have to repeat that solution for each vendor, for each contractor to resolve the same issue. So the general way to solve this problem is to create an FTP server and make this FTP server available through FTP port so that anybody attempting to come in to dump file, just for the purpose of dumping file, nothing else, not to send email, not to browse, just to dump file, then that person will no longer have this problem. He will not be able to come in and dump file here. And that's all he'll be able to do. So as the network administrator, I cannot take file from there and give it to whoever needs to have it, right? So this idea of creating a system, a server that will accept files from the outside world, all right, on behalf of this whole organization, is file transfer protocol. And then it is such that it is not only able to accept file from the outside, it's also able to send files to the outside world. In Windows, what you call download and upload, depending on where you are looking at it from. You are looking at it from here. If you are standing here, then you can upload to the internet and you can download from the internet. So that, or specifically if you are looking from this system inside here, you can now upload your files. This is going outside to the internet to this server. And then if they say there's a problem, you need to edit it, you can also download it, edit it before you upload. So the server that allows you to do this, just for the purpose of receiving files and sending files on behalf of the company, is the FTP server. So what we want to do is take a system on this network and make it an FTP server so that it is now able to accept the file that this man here wants to push to this network. Because you already saw that ordinarily he's not able to push file into the network. Everybody trying to push file here is suspicious. Maybe it's trying to push virus, it's trying to push this. So in order to create a reservoir where everybody should dump their file, then you can now take a closer look and decide what you want to do. Instead of allowing this one, you go here, this one, you can go here, next time you can go here. Just allow everybody. No. Create a server and say a storeroom like you would do for a charity organization. Create a storeroom, everybody dump your thing there, and then we can now come take a closer look and sort things. The ones that are for this month, we can now say, okay, that's for you, use it. The ones that are for this month, we can now say that's for you, use it. If you want to put antivirus on the somewhere, we can now put it here. Make sure every file here is screened before we now release it to you. All right, so do you get the concept of FTP and FTP server? So in this case, this will be the FTP server. This one will be the FTP client. All right. So the client will be configured so that it can recognize and upload to the server and also be able to download from the server. And then the server will be configured so that it will accept whatever is coming from the client. So how do we do this? That's what we're about to do. Do you understand what we're about to do now? If yes, then we can go ahead and do it. FTP service installation. Okay, let's go and do it. So we share. Share. All right. Again, let us load it on our Linux phone. So many services on Linux phone. So clear. All right. So the first thing we want to do is sudo yum update, right? We should get used to using sudo yum update. It's okay anytime you want to install a new software, just a new service, just do no package. Okay. So again, just for rehearsal sake, which I'm not going to do because we've done it enough times. We just do, does FTP already exist? Right? Then I can ping Google. Why do I need to ping Google? Just to test if system is connected to the internet. All right, but I'm not ready to do all of that. I just want to install the FTP. Now, this is the real name. I hope you can see what this is the real name, FTP, right? FTP is the service. No, FTP is the protocol. But remember I said the protocol would always have a name D attached to it, which means service, and therefore, actually the D stands for daemon, but which means service. But for the server, we are going to install the version of FTP server called Very Secure FTP. So this is the server version of FTP, Very Secure FTP service. So the command, that is the command, that's the service. So the command now to do it would be your install what? Very Secure FTP service. All right, so that's it. You need to be root. Oh, so I should do sudo. Yes, sudo yum install. All right, Y for yes. Ah, that was fast. So it's already installed. So VFCP is already installed. All right, so for the first time, I'm going to do something in the configuration file. So this configuration file is in sudo vi etc very secure ftpd, and then the name of the configuration file is very secure ftpd. In fact, let me not give you the name. Let's see what is in here. Let me just cd there so that you see for yourself. Cd, what's in here? Look at the file. Look at the name of the file. So do you want to go into that file? Yes, let's go into it. Sudo vi bsftpd.com. All right, so this is the file. All right, let us edit something in this file. Let us look for let's look for this term anonymous on the file, and then we'll change it to no. In other words, don't just let anybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry be able to use this service. And then ASCII upload enable upload, download enable download. So those are the things we want to do. We want to tell the file that not every Tom, Dick, and Harry, only people that are allowed should be able to use this service. All right. And then the service should allow them to upload files to the FTP server and then download files from the FTP server. All right. So you don't need scripting, you don't need coding, you don't need anything. Just go to the configuration file and look for those tests. Okay. So let's look through. We're looking for anonymous enable. I'll change it to no. Let's see. Anonymous enable. I see ASCII ASCII upload, yes. So it's already yes. However, it is not a command. To make it a command, I do insert and I remove the comment. And then ASCII download, I make it a command, I remove that comment. Okay, I've done two. Remaining one, anonymous enable should be no. Where's that one? Anonymous enable. Let me go to the beginning and start it. Allow anonymous FTP. Yes, somewhere here. Look at it. Anonymous enable is currently yes. So I say no. Come here and I say no. Okay, is it not done? I've done the three. So escape and then colon, right quit. No. Right quit, bang. That is it. All right. So now that you have made modification, what do you want to do? For the system to be aware that you have installed a service and you have made modification, you want to do sudo systemctl restart dsftpd.service. Okay. And then that is done. Then you want to do enable. Enable. All right. So we're done. We're done. It's not easy to install services. All right. Oh, all right. So we're done. But again, we may have problem later because there's always a firewall. So normally we should allow the FTP ports so that upload and download can pass through that. But again, we don't know yet. We'll learn that later on, the advanced limits. We don't know yet how to open and close ports. All right. So we want to bring down the whole firewall, maybe for the last time. So we'll stop the entire firewall so that we'll not be able to access. And all right. This one is just to see what processes are going on, but not really needed. All right, so let's do stop firewall, because I know that we'll run into that problem later. We'll be attempting to send file to this FTP server and it should not go through because the firewall is stopping us. So let us stop the firewall now before it stops us later. What's the command? System, there's no sudo. Sudo system ctl stop firewall D. It's done. Yeah, it's okay for me to stop it. I don't want to disable it. Let me just stop it for. We have problem if I don't disable it. Yeah, stopping is okay. Stopping it just but if you want to disable it completely, you can also enter the command disable. Okay, maybe just use it to learn. All right, so system, if I repeat the whole. Now instead of just stopping it, but before you stop, before you disable, you have to stop first. All right, you say, okay, we have stopped it. Now disable the firewall. All right. Don't worry, I'll teach you what to do later so that you don't have to disable the whole thing. You can now open port. And in cloud, you don't have this problem at all because now that you have learned to do it, the normal, the fundamental, the re-engineering way is going to be simpler later. All right, so that's it. Disable firewall. We're done. We're done. So simple. And then I have a user account here, Akin. I have a user account there, Akin. So I'm going to use that. Oh, when I say there, what do I mean? I'm going to set up another system that will attempt to upload file into this FTP server. So let me go to the other system and set it up as FTP client. So let's go there. So I'll bring up the other server. And I'll say you are my FTP client. Let me set you up as my FTP. Okay, so I'm done with this side. So I'll just okay, so okay, let me go to terminal. Okay, so look at the note. The note says you are done there. I already had an account, so I didn't have to create a new one. But if I wanted to, you create an account for the person, the manager at the other end that I want to allow to do FTP. All right. So you see what this one says? You see FTP server side configuration. So client side configuration. We're done with server side. So the first part was server side. We have created our FTP server. And now we are done with that. So let's go to client, FTP client side. So at the client side, we just say yum install FTP. Note that this one is not VS FTP or VS FTPD. It's just yum install FTP. All right, so for yum install FTP, I'll do sudo yum install FTP. All right. All right. Continue. Yes. Continue. Yes. Complete. So FTP is installed. All right. So we are done now. Now let us move a file from here to there. Let's move a file now. We said we want to upload a file. That simple click that you do in Windows, this is the command behind it that runs. Do we have file here? ls-l. Yeah, we have a file here. My config file. Let's use that file. Let's pretend that is the file we want to move to the other side. I hope it's not already there. Let's quickly check the others. No, we don't say I was there before. ls-l cd ls-l. Oh, it's here. The file is here. So let's remove it from here. I will create another one. Let's go and create another one. What file do you want to create? Let's create touch. What's the command now? Yeah, touch my FTP file, FTP 1.0 ls-l. So we have that file. Let's put something. Echo. We want to use this file to test FTP services. And then we'll put it where? Send it to my file. My what? FTP file. My FTP file .0. All right. Is it done? Cut my FTP file. All right. So we'll have the file. Let's test our work. Is it working? So we say FTP the server. So let us FTP. FTP. What's the server IP address? The other system. 192.168.100.19. All right. What is my name? Akin. Yes. And what's my password? All right. So What does it say here? It says you are now connected to that server, right? In the user account, Akin, please specify your password. I specify password, and it says login successful. Remote system is Linux. So it's now seeing the remote system from here using FTP, just similar to when we did SSH. So you are now in FTP mode. So what do you want to do now? You want to move a file, right? To pick a file now and put it in FTP, the command is simple. Just say put. Then what's the name of the file that I want to move from here to FTP? What was that name again? My FTP file dot here. FTP file dot here. So that's the command put. If I press enter, what does it say? What does it say? It says 150K send over the network and the transfer is complete. So we're done. So if I exit my FTP now, it says goodbye, and then I'm back to my original server. So if I go back to the server now, well, not me going back, whoever owns the server, the Microsoft, the share, that corporation, if they now check their server, they will now see that ls-l confirms that that file has been sent, delivered to the server. All right, so that is how to install the FTP service and use it. Any question? Questions? FTP looks exactly like copy, but the concept and the idea is different. Even though ultimately it's like you copy the file from one place to another, yes. But this time it's a central server that you are copying to. That server is like the central place for all files coming from outside the network. All right, so FTP as a protocol, the server version is VSFTPD, and the client version is simply FTP. Just enter a single command at the client, nothing to configure, and then you'll be able to connect using an account that is already set up at the server. If the server does not have that account, then that account is not able to SSH into it. It's not able to FTP into it. So that was why we said anonymous is not allowed. Only users that have been created on the server are allowed to FTP to the server. Was that too fast? Is there anything you need us to revise? Okay, everybody understood that? Hello, somebody talk on behalf of the others. Did you understand that, or is there any question or anything you need us to revise? Because we are moving to something higher now. What are we moving to? Yeah, those are the services that we have. Yeah, we'll install more services later under advanced Linux. But for now, if you are familiar with using those three services, then those services are okay. familiar with installing, then you are good. Okay, I have one more command here. If you wanted to upload multiple files at the same time, then the command is input multiple put. Then you can star means all the files with .doc, or all files without dot. All right, same thing. Download a file, just the same way we uploaded the file. Let us also download the file from. Let me try this get command. So we're still in Linux 1. Let's load Linux 2. Linux 2. What file is here that is not there? Let's see. So we have this file 1, and even file 2. So suppose we want to download file 2 from Linux 1 and from machine 2. So the command will be go to machine 2, and then from here, instead of uploading, you want to download. So you say get, then what's the name of the file that you want to get from there? File 1. File 1. Just file 1. Let me see that file. Yeah, just file 1. Let me know. Right? Okay. So what does it say here? Let's press enter and see. Oh, this is wrong. I should connect to the FTP first. So let me connect to the FTP server before I use that command. How do I connect to FTP server again? Remember FTP, then the server password 192.168.100.19. So I've connected. No, not yet. What's my name? Akin, yes, I accept that. What's my password? All right. So now that I'm here, and I say get the file 1. All right. That's the name of the file. File 1. Is there a capital letter somewhere? Let's look at the name of it. Okay, let's try the one that I uploaded. My FTP, no, it's already there. FTP server. There's something about this command I need to correct. Our FTP file.text, that's what this one says. Okay. So get file 2. Okay, file transfer complete. So it copied file 2. What's the problem with file 1? Why didn't it copy file 1? So we say get file 2, and it says entering passive mode, opening binary, file transfer complete. Fail to. Let me see what's wrong with file 1. Let me move this. File 1. Yeah, it says better. Your trainees. Akin, okay. Okay. File 1 does not belong. Akin has nothing to do with file 1. File 1 belongs to IO and the group trainees. It's not my file, so I couldn't have copied it. Then let's try file 3 then. So the same thing for file 3. At least that one is that one has Akin. Okay, that one also worked. What about file 4? Okay, so there's nothing wrong with your command, just that Akin is neither in the group nor the owner of the file, so you cannot copy it. You cannot download the file that is not yours. The fact that it's FTP does not mean that we are not security. I will not be able to copy file 4 because file 4 belongs to Abiola, and I don't think Akin is a member of students. So file 4 won't. It's not likely to work. May not work. So file 4 fails to open because I do not have access. All right. So the reason I wasn't able to copy this because I do not have access. The command by itself is good. All right. So I'm done with that. So exit. So that's how to use FTP. Buy or exit to quit. Exit is simpler. Get let's do exit or quit. No, exit is smaller. Okay, so Uju, is there anything you need us to revise? Did you understand what you just did with FTP server? Yeah, anyone who can hear me? Anybody at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, Abiodo and Deleke. Did you understand FTP server?
Yes, sir.
So it's something you can revise by yourself, right?
Yeah, I can revise it by myself.
Okay, that's fine. So let's move on now to configuring automated updates with your Chrome. Simple. This is just similar to the other part, the batch script. So let's reserve that one because we'll do the practical of that one later. All right. All right, but the real big deal, the real next thing I need you to know now, and this can be confusing, but again, we'll try our best to. The real big deal, the next thing at the basic level, because it could be confusing and tricky. I don't want us to go too deep into it. But once you can understand the basics, then we can build on that much later. Not in this class. All right, so there's something called disk management. So let's assume that you have this project and you want to set up a new storage, more like a new hard disk for this project. Every project will have its own storage, or maybe it's actually a running project, but they've exhausted their storage and you need to assign more storage to that particular assignment. When you started to build the project, you had in mind that 200 gig hard disk storage would do. All right, so along the line, ideas are coming, project is expanding, and so on and so forth. Now 200 gig is no longer enough. You want to assign another 200 gig or maybe 500 gig this time. How do you assign? This is applicable only to virtual environment. In physical environment, you have to go and buy a physical hard disk and attach it physically. But we're talking about virtual environment. In virtual environment, how do you attach additional storage to your existing storage? That's what we want to do. Sorry. All right, so let's use system 2 for this experiment. So to do it, let us shut down system 2 so that we can add additional storage. So right now, to find out the storage of system 2, the command to use is fdisk, fdisk. All right, fdisk minus L, because I have to use this. What does it tell me? Okay, permission denied, so it will be sudo fdisk minus L. Password. Okay, so what this tells me is that right now I have a storage 1. You may liken it to hard disk 1, but because technology has grown beyond hard disk, it's not only hard disk these days, there are other forms of storages. We don't want to tie storage to the term hard disk, but it's just like saying hard disk 1, hard disk 2. That's all. We have only 2 hard disks on this system, right? But to say hard disk is not correct. It's actually more accurate to call it storage 1, storage 2, or more specifically, we'll use the right terms later. But basically, note that there's SD1 and SD2 here, nothing else. That's all. Now let us go and add a different storage, another storage, so that by the time next time we come here, we are going to see more than 2. All of these other terms are just terms for technical terms that we use to express how the rooms are located to hard disk and how hard disk uses 512 bytes as the size of a typical room for storing data. All right, so let us start the project. So we shut down the system. Let's shut down by going to Control key, File, Close, shut down. So our system is shut down. So we'll go to the environment, go to the VirtualBox, and then we'll see that our Linux 2 machine is shut down. Can you see? It's shut down, powered up. So in the cold state, in the power off state, you go to machine, you go to settings, then you go to storage. When you get to storage, you see plus. Okay, SATA actually. SATA storage, not ID, SATA. And then you see, right now there is only 1 hard disk there. So you go to SATA and you say plus, and you add, you say create, and you create 1 more hard disk of maybe 2 gig or 3 gig. All right, and then you say create. All right, so additional hard disk of 3 gig has been created, and it's now listed here. Look at it here as not attached. There are many hard disks already attached. Are there many? Yeah, just 2. There was 1 hard disk called Linux 1 attached to Linux Server 1, and then Linux 2 attached to Linux Server 2. And you created an additional hard disk. Look at it. So you choose it now, haven't created it, you choose it, and then it is there now. So this system now has 2 hard disks, 2 storages, Linux 2 and Linux 2 _1. All right. So physically, you now have, well, likened to physical, you now have 2 hard disks. Now that you have 2 hard disks, you can now go ahead and prepare this second hard disk, this second SATA controller, for the system to be aware and for the system to be able to use it. Right now, it's just there. The system is not even aware that you have done anything. All right. So we'll say, okay, and then we'll start the system. Start. All right, so the system is starting. All right, I log in. All right, so we're back here. So we want to do sudo fdisk -l. And then I am hacking. So what does it tell me? It still tells me what I had before, that I have only 2 volumes inside this storage. All right. But it also tells me now that I have a second volume, SDB. All right. So the storage that I just added, look at it here. Now I have this volume, but the system still cannot use it. For the system to use this volume so that I can now save files to it, I must first of all partition it. And then after I partition it, I must then format it. In Windows, it's called formatting, but here you see you add a file system, right? So first you add additional storage when the system is off, and then you restart the system, and then use fdisk to come in here to see that the addition has been made, but it's useless. To make it useful so that the system can use it, you must first of all partition. How do you partition? How do I partition this hard disk, this storage, this disk space? All right. So to partition the disk space, the command is I will do fdisk. Look at the disk space /dev/sdb. We're doing this way. All right. So the command is to partition that disk space. I'll do fdisk is the command we use almost throughout. fdisk. But instead of doing, of course, sudo fdisk. Instead of doing -l, I'll now say fdisk for this particular, look at it, this particular volume. So I'll do /dev/sdb. And I press enter. And then brings out all of this. Take your time, read it. But what it's saying is, I know this is confusing and you don't know what to do. If you type the letter M, I'll be able to help you. So I come here and I type letter M. And then they say, okay, which of these actions do you want to perform? This. Read all of them, understand. Well, you don't have to understand them, but just know them. What we want to do here is we want to create partition. We want to add a new partition. So we take letter N for new partition. And then we'll press enter. And then it tells me, yes, that's fine. I can create partition for you. I can create a total, I can create primary partition or extended partition for you. All right. Right now, you don't have any primary partition and you don't have any extended partition. I can create this for you and I can have a total of 4 created for you. What do you want me? This fdisk talking to you now. What do you want me to do for you? Do you want me to create primary partition for you? If your answer is yes, you just press yes. Enter for P, which is primary. Okay, that's not a problem. I'm going to create primary partition for you. I can create up to 4 primary partitions for you. Do you want me to create the first primary partition for you now? That's the question. And then again, because it's already presenting you with an assumed answer, you say yes. And then it says, okay, fine. Where do you want me to start from? I have 4 acres of space to use for you. Where do you want me to start from to create this partition this hall for you, or to break up this hall into smaller rooms. Actually, yeah, that fits more. I have this large hall for you. You want me to start from the beginning in order to partition them into rooms for you, into smaller volumes, Then you say yes. First sector, then you press enter. Okay, I've taken the first one. How much of the whole space do you want me to use to create the first partition for you? Here, I'll prefer to say plus then size. How much is my storage space? 3 gig. So I may want to say here, out of that 3 gig, use plus 1 gig. But I must put gig. G for gig. Look at it. Gig. Use 1 gig to create my first partition plus 1 gig. All right? And then I press enter. It's fine. That is done. What else do you need me to do for you? Create another partition. N. Primary partition again. Is that what you want? Yes. This time, you already have one primary partition that I just created for you. So I can only create a maximum of 3 additional partitions for you. Is that what you want? Do you want me to create the second partition out of these possible 3 partitions left? And then say yes. Okay, what's the first point? Take the first point. And what's the last point? Again, I'll say take another, maybe this time 1.5. I'm not sure if you take point. It has to be single, full number. All right, so say 1 gig again. All right, and then it says it's done. Anything else you want me to do for you? M again for help, but already I know M, so I can just take N right away. Create another new one. Okay, I've already created 2 primary partitions for you. I can still create 2 additional partitions because I can create maximum of 4 partitions. Do you want me to create another primary partition for you? Yes. This time I have only 3 and 4 left. I'll be creating the 3rd partition for you now. Is that fine? Yes. All right, first sector, yes. And second sector, this time I want to say use the entire remaining space to create the 3rd partition. So I don't do plus, I just press enter for use everything. Right? So this way I have created 3 partitions. In other words, 3 volumes out of my storage space. If I do N again, it's going to, it warned me earlier on, we didn't read it. Whatever I have done, I must save. If I do not save, then the system is not aware of what I have done, and everything we have been doing since is back to square one, 0. So for the system, for me to now say, yes, you created 3 partitions, save them all so that they become permanent. Then I'll have to do what? I have to do W for save, right? Then it says, oh, beautiful. Your partitions are now saved. You see it? So let's do F disk again. If I now do sudo F disk, then what? Sudo F disk was not -L. What do I want to do? Yeah, -L to first of all see everything. Okay, so what does it tell me now? It tells me that some things actually scrolled up. Let me scroll up. Look at the only thing that we had the first time we did F disk -L. It showed us that we had 2 partitions. When we partition a hard disk space, we can start to call them volume. So it tells us that we have 2 volumes from first partition, from first hard disk space, storage space. And then this other one that we created, that we added, out of it, we have just created 3 partitions. Look at the 3 partitions. So partition 1 was created there. Partition 2, partition 3. So now we have 3 volumes, 3 small storages, but altogether 3 logical storages, small logical storages, altogether saved in one, maybe physical storage. All right. So partition is not enough. We must now put file system on each of the partition before it will be able to save files, before we can push files to it, before we can save files. All right. So the next thing we want to do now is to put file, what Windows call formatting. Put file, put a file system on each of the 3 partitions. Any question before we put file system? All right, no question. So now let's put file system. What's the command to put?
For the question for the partition 1, 2, 3, it doesn't show like the memory for each partition, like the
size, whether it's 1 gig or 2 gig or 3 gig.
Whether it's 1 gig or 2 gig. Or
I'll give you another command that you will use to see that one.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now I can estimate from this mathematics here, this arithmetic. I can do my estimate and get what it means. But don't worry, I'll give you a different command and then to tell you this is 1 gig or 2 gig.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so to put a file system on this partition, the command is sudo make file system and put xfs as a file system on this partition. All right, can I copy? No, it will not let me copy and paste. Don't worry, I'll just write it. Let me write it as sudo make file system. There are different kinds of file systems, but this one use the file system dot called xfs for which partition? For dev / sdb1. Right? In other words, I am formatting now. This is formatting. I'm formatting that volume. So if I press enter, it is formatted. And then let me quickly format the other 2 as well. So this one will be sdb2, and that will be sdb3. So I formatted all the partitions. So my system would now recognize those partitions for file storage. All right. And then the final thing I want to do now, well, maybe not the final, but to make this volume available to the MTN team, to the T-Mobile team, so that they can now use it for the storage of the project that they are doing. The command is, first of all, let me leave here momentarily. ls -l. This is my own folder. This is my home folder. They will not, MTN will not come here to use my folder. So let me go and create their folder for them, their own directory in root. So I go to cd root, ls -l. Yes, this is root for everybody. Okay. Let me quickly put something. Yeah, it's okay. I can put it here. Actually be anywhere, but it's okay here. So let me just say make directory. If I say make directory MTN, you will not understand me because I'm working where I ought not to work. So I'll put sudo there. Sudo make directory MTN, and then sudo make directory T-Mobile, mobile, and then sudo make directory Verizon. These are the projects that we have. Verizon. Okay. So if I do ls -l now, I have all of this. I have all of these projects. Okay. Or if I want to see the last directories that I made, so I don't keep looking for MTN and the rest up and down, I'll just do ls minus ltr according to time in reversed format. So the last will be at the bottom. Okay. MTN, T-Mobile, Verizon. Now, what I want to do is attach MTN to my first volume, so that anytime they are saving to, they want to save to that volume, they'll simply save to MTN. To do that, the command is mount. What am I now? Well, I cannot work in root. Let me go back to it. So the command is mount. Sudo mount. Mount what? Mount dev /sdb1 to the root, then MTN, the directory MTN, which I just created in root, right? So mount this to that. So I'm saying anytime you are saving to, you want to save to this directory, anytime you want to save to into this volume that I just created for you, this 1 gig volume, just save to MTN. The way to address this volume is by calling it. This is too technical for anybody to understand. Why would I bother them with this big name? It's confusing. So I'll just map it to a simple name that they cannot recognize. We're the ones working on MTN project. So that is what we say. We will mount the volume to that directory. All right, so I press enter and it's done. I do the same for SDB2. Mount it to where? T-Mobile. All right. And SDB3, mount it to where? Verizon. Okay. And so on and so forth. That's it. Now that command you are looking for. That command is df. So df now will tell you, 1 second. df now will tell you okay, so df now will tell you that we do have SDB1 mapped to MTN. Look at it. And SDB2 maps to T-Mobile, and FDB3 mapped to Verizon, and that this is the total number of space, this is the used space, and this is the available space. If I divide it by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that is 1 gig. Okay, I can actually do DH, this, let me say DF, the same DF, but this time I said give it to me in human readable format, -H. So instead of me doing the mathematics to divide, you just give it to me as my SDB is 982 megabyte. That's approximately 1 gig. All right, so this is the question you asked. So we have a total of
okay, I got it now.
Yeah, a total of 1 gig, out of which 33 has been used by the file system to keep its own load, and then this amount is now available for file storage. All right, so 1 gig, approximately 1 gig, then. All right, so you have created new volumes from nowhere, and you have assigned it to them. But there's one last thing to do. If I restart this system now, and I come back here to check this place, I will no longer see this. This will no longer show. So in order to make this permanent, so that anytime I do df, it will always show like this, and the mapping will remain permanent. There's one more thing I need to do. I need to go to a file called fstab. I need to go to this file called fstab and edit it, put my mountain there. That way, I'll make the mountain permanent, and the system is always that way. So to do that, I'll do fstab is configuration. I'll do sudo vi into etc into where? etc, then in the file called fstab. All right, this is the file. This is the file. I don't have any sample. I don't even know. I'll just look at what I have here, and then I'll use that one. Let me. Okay, I need everything on the straight line, so that let me view it in then we should be zooming out. Let me zoom out. Let me zoom out. Can you see that? Let me zoom out one more time. If it doesn't work, and let me zoom. Yes, I think I get what I want. I want everything to be in the straight line, so I can make from there. So look at this. Look at the format. The format is the directory to which it is mapped. Then what? The file system. Okay, this one will be better. The file system that we use to map. Then we'll do default then. So let me use that format now to add those other ones. So I come here and I say insert. Right? Okay, then I come. So the first thing I do is /mtn, following the format on top. /mtn, then what? What is no. It's not /mtn. It's not /mtn. It will be slash the partition /sdb2. SDB. You know what? I forgot it. Let's go back there. Let me quit here. Quit. Escape. Colon. All right. So s/dev/sdb1. That's what I was trying to do. Is mapped to /mtn. That's what I'm trying to do right there. That's just all I'm trying to write. I want to write that /dev/sdb1 is mapped to /mtn, /dev/sdb2 is mapped to /tmobile, and /dev/sdb3 is mapped to /Verizon. That's all I want to do. Just remind me again. Let me go. If I come here and I do insert, and I do /dev/sdb1, I use my tab. It's mapped to, it's mounted to /mtn, and then look at the next thing here. And then I do slash using the file system xfs, and then I do tab. I type the next thing, defaults, the defaults. And that spelling is correct. Defaults. Okay. And then tab, I do 0 space 0. All right. So I just copy the style from here. So the first thing I do is the space, the volume. What is it mapped to? Mapped to what? Using what file system? XFS. And then defaults 00. That's constant for all of them. All right. So I've done it for the first one. So what about for the second one? /dev /sdb2 mounted to what? The mobile using what? XFS and then defaults. Then what? The tab 0, then space 0. Okay, let's make the align. Let's align the. Let's make it. Let's tabulate the alignment like that. All right. Then there's a third one. /dev /sdb3 /Verizon what? XFS /defaults /0 space 0. All right. So if we save these changes now, then we will not have problem again. We have completed everything. We'll say escape, quit, save, quit back. All right, we are done. So at this time now, we can now confidently restart the system, knowing that we have completed everything. There's no fear. All right. One way to restart the system is to do init 6. It's just like doing restart. I mean, it is restart. It's not just like doing init 6. So where you don't have mouse and you are not able to move mouse around to go and click stop, or so the way to do it is init 6. It means restart. So the system is restarted. All right. So after it restarts and you check that all those things are still in place, then you are good to go. It will forever be in place. Password. All right, so system, tools, securities. So let's do df -h to see if everything is still in place. What do we have? Our hard work, is it still there? MTN, Verizon, T-Mobile is still there. So we are good. Our work is good. So we have now created volumes and we have mounted them to this. So that's how to create space. And this is not something that's this is something that many people will not understand. So you understanding it will be a big advantage because the industry needs it. All right, questions? 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 All right, so we'll do this one more time. We'll take another example, but this time will be faster because, or if you already know it, no need. Let's learn something new. There are still so many new things to learn. Any need to take another example, or should we use that opportunity that time to learn something new? If you already understand it, there's no need to waste time. After all, the video is there. And always go back to the video. Somebody talk on behalf of everyone. So what should we do? Hello. Okay, do chat if you cannot talk. I honestly don't know the reason why we're not communicating. Maybe. So what do you guys feel about volume? Is this straightforward? Do you understand it? Do a chat. As long as you can hear me, do a chat. You cannot see. Are you already doing a chat and I'm not seeing? I don't see anything. Okay. Is it possible that you're just on your laptop and you're doing something else? Is anybody there? Have you done still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so do you understand? Okay, I think that it was you I asked the last time and you said yes.
Yeah.
Do you still understand up to this point?
Yeah, I'm still understand. I just need to watch the video again and practice on my own.
Would repeating it all over, would it help? Julius, let me ask Julius. Julius, do you understand it?
Akin.
Yeah.
Akin. Yeah. Honestly, I'm working right now, but it's on. I'll be done in just a couple of minutes. That's why. So I'm not really following that much.
Oh, okay.
I keep going on and off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Now I understand why you are not talking. 1 minute. Who else? I feel that was good enough, but if anybody feels otherwise, if you say so, then we can revise. We can take one more example. I'm trying to avoid the situation where you already know it, and the time I should have used to teach you something else, I'm using it to repeat what we know. Okay, so let's go on and learn something. Okay, so that's about volume. Now, like I said, this volume thing is just what we just talked about in volume is just it's not all about volume. There's another advanced level of building volumes. All right. So for that reason, I summarized like a whole chapter of notes into just this diagram, so that in future you can refer to it. But basically, what this diagram is saying is that you can have physical volumes meshed together to form a single volume. Physical volumes meshed together to form a single volume. Physical hard disk, many, 20, 30, 70, 700. And that is how come you can have so many hard disks in the data center, all of them representing just one volume. So you can have multiple hard disks, physical disks. Look at them, the hard disk, physical. Meshed together to form one big logical volume. And that logical volume is not available to be assigned in cloud to millions of users. This is the concept. It is the concept that we just looked at the basics of that they're also using there. All right. But again, it's not something I want to go into the details of, but just know that it's possible. And then get ready to do it. Depending on where you are employed in the industry, this might be something you do on a daily basis. Well, no, not daily. You don't use volume on a daily basis. This might be something you do occasionally, or something you may never do, just depending on the. For example, if you're using cloud facility and not enterprise, you may want to use the cloud vendor to manage this for you. All right. But generally, employers definitely want people who can set up hard disk and manage on behalf of them. All right. So that one is there for you for reference, not for now, but for in future, you may need to refer to it. All right. So now let's get into advanced Linux. Advanced Linux. Advanced Linux. So, okay, let me come here to Linux. At any point in time, you can see who minus R, who minus R, who hyphen R, who hyphen R. Excuse me, I need some light. All right, so that basically tells you what run level you are on, this system is on. And what's the meaning of run level? If I say init 0, it means shut down the system. So run level 0 means shut down the system. So let me shut down the system. All right, so that system is shut down. That's run level 0. So if I say run level 6, it means restart the system. It means restart the system, reboot, just like we did earlier. So these are called run level. If I say run level 2, it means restart this system without networking. Restart the system, but the system will not load the drivers and services to be able to support networking. That's the meaning of run level 2. Okay, run level 3, it means restart this system with networking. Run level 5, it means restart the system with networking and GUI. So this level we are running now, where we are going back and forth using mouse, using internet browser, that is run level 5. That is what we're able to do all of that. If you go to a system, maybe your friend's office, and you're trying to use Linux, and you don't find mouse and anything relating to mouse, everything you do is on CLI. It means that that system is running on run level 3. You can do networking, but there is no GUI. All right. You want us to run on run level 3? Let's try. All right. So run level 3, it means what do I do? Init 3. So this system will restart with networking, but not with GUI environment. All right. So that place that you normally show where I will click Akin, is it showing anymore? It's not showing. So this time I have to log in. I have to use another. So who is logging in now? Akin. And then what's my password? Yeah, I'm not sure I got my password. So incorrect password. So it's logging in. You see the difference now? So this is without GUI. Everything I'll be doing here, it will be purely from CLI by typing ls -l. All right, so these are the different run levels. These are the different run levels. Run level 0, which means shut down the system. Run level 6, which means restart the system. Run level 2, which means start the system without networking. Run level 3, which means start the system with networking. Then run level 5, which is the preferred one, init 5, which is start the system with both networking and choose identity authentication and GUI. All right, so I'm doing run level 5. Okay, so that was that. Let's go on. Let's move to the next one. Are you ready for this? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it, but just make it as simple as possible. Read 0, read 1, read 5. There's no need for read 10. Let's talk about read 5. All right. What do we mean when we say read 0? And what do we mean when we say read 1? What do we mean when we say read 5? Interviews would mention that. Not because they want you to explain in details, but they can just use this passively so that you should know what they are talking about. You see the volumes that we created earlier. You can use them in different ways, any ways that you desire. Those volumes could be used. You can combine 2 or multiple volumes together and use them in certain ways for the storage of your files. Okay, let me go to diagram so that I can put that. All right, so those volumes that you created, suppose you want to use the volume so that whatever you are saving to one volume, if suppose you set up the volume like this, let me put it. Okay, let's do it like this. So this is one volume. Okay, and then this is another volume. So suppose to set up the volume like this so that whatever data, whatever file is coming in, part of the file will be saved into volume A, and the other part of the file will be saved into volume B. So the same file. For example, if the file contains I am coming, I am will be saved in, just for example, files are not saved in that format. Files are converted into binary and then they are saved in jargons that will not make sense to you. They are not saved like, they are saved in ASCII code. But I'm just using this for example. I am coming. So if you have I am coming as a file in a file, and part of the file is saved here, another part of the file is saved here, then you say that you are using read 0 configuration to save the file. Why would you want to do that? Why don't you just save the whole file normally like we save file? Why are you combining 2 volumes so that you share the files into 2 parts? The reason you are doing that is for speed. It's much faster when you are retrieving info from the volumes. And then you are taking part of the info from here, part of the info from here. So the reason you want to use read 0 is to gain speed. Speed is the keyword for read 0. Speed. All right? Oh, you're not talking. I'm not sure whether you're following. So I just want to simplify it in a way that you can quickly get it. So the volumes that you created and the more, all this idea of you can have multiple hard disks, join them together to create multiple volumes and so on and so forth. That array of hard disk that you have in the shell or in the data center, you have so many hard disks arranged in your data cabinet, all of them, even though they are physically distinct, working together to form one logical hard disk, then maybe another logical hard disk, making two logical hard disks. You can decide that whatever your network is saving, whatever is coming from your network, because the whole idea of setting up the storage farm is so that it will save files from your network. So when it is coming in, part of the file should be saved here and another part should be saved here. Right? When you have this kind of arrangement where every single file, part of it is saved in one volume, another part of that same file is saved into another volume. That's a RAID 0 arrangement. The reason you want to do RAID 0 and not do it in the normal conventional way, or just put everything in one hard disk, is that you want speed, because RAID 0's saving is much faster when saving and retrieving files than when you have everything saved in one volume. All right, so that's RAID 0. But it could also be that you don't want speed. What you just want is such that whatever is coming from the network should be saved into only one hard disk. And then also save the whole part should also be saved into a different hard disk. So the whole I am coming was saved into this hard disk, and the whole I am coming is also saved into this hard disk. So this hard disk is a mere replica. It's just repeating what you have in this hard disk or otherwise. But this one is repeating what you have. Why? Why would you want to repeat what you have here? For redundancy, so that in case something happens to this hard disk, you are still in business, because everything you have on this volume is also replicated in this volume. This time, your business, you are not interested in speed. You just want reliability. You just want redundancy, so that you never lose any data. If you lose data and you are crying, somebody will, we are using RAID 1. That's called RAID 1. RAID 1 system to store our files. So it's safe. Just no problem. Right? So this idea of whatever you save on one hard disk is also automatically saved into the other one is called RAID 1. And that is not for speed, that is for redundancy. Redundancy. All right? All right, that's beautiful. That's RAID 1. Then why don't you even have a situation where you have a combination of RAID 1 and RAID 0? So you are enjoying both the redundancy advantage as well as the speed advantage. So inside the container, inside the box, inside the same storage, you have one part. Let's see if we can put that in there. You have a part that is designed for RAID 0. How do you put RAID 0 inside here? RAID 0. Okay. And then you now have this RAID 0, that combination repeated here. All right. So you have both RAID 0 and RAID 1 presented to you together as one. That one is called RAID 5. So a combination of both RAID 0 and RAID 1 working together. And of course, you expect that the industry want to take advantage of both of them. So RAID 5 will be common. RAID 5 will be common, made up of the advantage of speed as given in RAID 0 configuration, and redundancy as given in read one configuration. All right. Does that make sense? So it's still all about your storage arrangement. When we talk about read 0, read 1, read 5, we're still talking about the storage. That storage, those volumes, they can be arrayed. They can be presented and configured such that they are presented as multiple volumes, and what is happening in one can either be made to repeatedly happen on the other one simultaneously. Yeah, it will always happen on the other one simultaneously, either as saving exactly what was saved on the other one, or as saving parts, the other part of what was saved on the other one. All right, so hopefully you understand that. That's about read 0, read 1, and read 5. All right, all of those were just preliminaries. Now you know that you have init 0, init 1, init 2, although we didn't mention it, it's not common, it's kind of reserved. Init 3, init 4, init 5, and then init 4 again, we didn't mention it. So we mentioned init 2, it was init 4 that we didn't mention. Init 4, we didn't mention init 4. Init 4 is reserved. All right, then we now also know that read is simply the concept of saving files simultaneously into multiple volumes, either for the reason of speed or for the reason of redundancy. When it is done for the reason of speed, then we see it, we call that concept read 0. When it is done for the reason of reliability, otherwise called redundancy, so that in case one fails, the other one is still up and alive, then it is called read 0. But it's possible to combine the concept and properties of both read systems into one, and that is called read 5, combination of read 0 and read 1. All right, let's go. Now I want to begin to show you some commands. Now there is this command called, can you see this command that I'm highlighting? What does this command do? So this is a command to set an IP address. So in other words, instead of going all the way to, in fact, let's do it. Then one of my students came back to say, is this in this class? This SITP3, no, not yet. System CTL, let's try that. Restart. The student is in SITP2. Restart network. And then enable.
You can't see your screen again. You can only see the diagram.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. So this is my screen.
Okay.
Sorry.
I see it now.
I was summarizing what we learned here. I didn't know that you were not seeing. But you got my summary of what the init levels are, and then what init 0 and that. Okay, we've done that. So we are here now. Let me show you. This command will simply assign an IP address to the interface disk, and then this next map, and then switch it up. Wow, so simple. So all the idea of going to sysconfig, enp, and then vi, you can actually use this command to simply assign IP address right away to the interface emp0s3. Don't ask me, why didn't we just use this one right away? You needed to know how to do it the normal way. And then after you do it the normal way, you know, and you are confident, then if you now begin to look for shortcuts and shortcuts fail you, or systems do not, for any reason, you always know how to do it. All right, so now let's test this. Does this really work? Let's see if it works or whether it's just your. Let me log in here. So what's the IP address of this system right now? Let me come in here and find out. So if config was too long, so it scrolled up, so I could do for ENP0S3. So it tells me the IP address for this system right now is 192.168.100.19. Suppose I want to change this IP address to 100.21. So normally going through the way we'll go into cd/etc, cd sysconfig, cd network scripts, and then we'll get there. We vi into if cfg ent. Okay, instead of all of that, we are saying that we can actually use the command sudo. This is related to sudo if config. I'm just copying from my left hand side. Config for ENP0S3. Okay, if sudo if config ENP0S3, assigning the password 192.168.100 instead of .19. Let's do let's even do .30. At least they'll still be on the same network. The other one will still be able to see .30 or .31. All right. And then we are saying that's not enough. I cannot press enter. I must give the subnet mask. Net mask is 255. Okay. .255.255.0. And then switch up the interface. This is combining multiple commands into one line. So let's press enter and see if it will complain. No oh, okay. Password. All right, no complaint. So if we now have the system, what is your password now? What is it going to show us? Is it the old one or the new one? So what's your password now? Where's the answer? Where's our command? Look at the command. And then the answer is the new password now is 31. So have we not changed it? The system now knows that the new password is, we've changed the system. But somebody confirmed that you will still have to let the system know, even if it has changed here, you still have to make it permanent by doing system ctl restart. Okay, let's even not do it. Let's not take that person's assumption. Let us restart the system now and see whether it will remember this password. Because right now it tells us that it is aware of its new password, which is 100.31. Okay, let us see. Do we need to do systemctl for it to remember, or would it always remember now? So what do? We restart the system. How do we restart the system? Init 0. I mean init 6. Yes, I've been wanting to try this thing, but I'm used to doing that. All right, so I log in as Akin. So come to system tools. All right, so let's find out now. what IP address is it going to show us? Is it the old one or the new one? So what's the command to find that IP address? If config for ENP0 3. So it went back to the old one, right? So that person was right. That my student was right. All right, so let's do it again now. And this time we'll now do systemctl restart to see. All right. So let's do it again. So this same command, change back to 31. All right. Okay, so what's your IP address now? What's the IP address? Dot 31. If we restart you now, you forget this, you go back to the old one. So in order to help you retain it, we'll do systemctl restart network services, network. And don't forget sudo. Sudo systemctl restart network. And then sudo systemctl enable. All right. Now let us restart the system. Unit 6. This time we do not expect the IP address to change. But still would not have been okay for me to just go straight and teach you this command at the beginning without you knowing that that was the real way to do it. All right. I've deprived you of knowing the real place where that file is and how you can go and configure it. Not just to change IP address, but also to change other. I have a student that is practicing everything we do in Linux. In fact, in all the courses, line by line. She practices everything one by one, line by line. So she was the one who discovered this and then shared with the whole class. Tell me how that kind of person will not get it. A 6-figure job. So go here and then come here. And now let's ask it, what is your IP address now? You went back to 19. Okay, you went back to 19. Okay, so even that did not work. We didn't expect it to go back to 19. We expect it to. All right. So set your IP address. So what I owe you here now is make the setting permanent. Right, so we have to go and learn the command that will not only change it temporarily, because this one is temporary change. We want to make that change permanent, so I have to go and find out, or whether this is only temporary. All right, bear with me. I'll find out about that one right now. As soon as we are finishing the class, I'm not postponing, and then I'll correct it here. Even if we don't come back in class to do it, I'll correct it on the note right away, and then once you have the latest note, you automatically have it. All right, to set your default gateway to this, that is what we do, and so on and so forth. But I'm not sure. Okay. Let me just take 2 more lines and that'll be all for today, because in order to set your default, we have not had a reason actually, because of the environment where we are working now. We have not had reason to set default gateway. So default gateway is about routers, virtual environment our Oracle does not support Rata. That's why we have deliberately not done anything about Rata. Remember, somebody was asking me the last time, saying, what about the default gateway that I provided there? Should they enter it? And I said, well, if you enter it, you will not know the use. And then, all right, but just note it for when we'll need it. But for now, we don't need it. And then to set your DNS server, we can do this. Test your pinging, we can ping google.com. Everybody knows it. All right, so essentially, this is the real one I wanted to share. And then I'll find out, even though it worked, why the system not remember it after restart. I'll come back to you. Any question? All right. The other thing I would have loved to show you to go to now is about backup and restore. But I think that one requires a fresh brain to cope with. You require fresh brain. Your brain is, I guess, is highly utilized now. Haven't learned something very wow today, which is this storage. I would not even only do this storage today. We also did configuration, installation and configuration of two major. In fact, this is a major one. That's how we call it the first project. Two major Linux services. HTTPD and FTP. They are two major Linux services that you can quote at interviews. So we did those ones, and then we went ahead to cover volumes. And then we are now even talking about rates. So we've covered a lot for one day. That's enough for one day. Unfortunately, I'm not able to tell whether you are coping, whether you are understanding, because I'm not getting feedback. But if you understood all of that for one day, then we have done a lot. And then tomorrow, we should be able to, let's see how far we can go tomorrow, maybe finish the class. Remember, there's a project attached to this class, and I've already given you that project at the beginning of class when I gave you the notes. All right. So together we'll look at this project 2, do that together in class, and then that will be it. So let's see if we're able to finish this. Yes, actually we should be able to finish it tomorrow. Finish the course tomorrow. But that is not intended to rush you. If we are still not able to finish tomorrow, no problem at all. Just let me know that no, you are not coping, it's too hard, or you should relax. And then we can have classes again next week, Friday and Saturday. There's no problem with that at all. After all, we missed 1 week this month. So we can always use those 2 days to cover up if we are not able to finish conveniently. If we're able to finish conveniently, then there is no need. We just finish it. And then, all right, so we'll stop there for now, and then we'll continue from here. Backup and restore tomorrow. All right, not because I want to go away. I'm still here. I can still take your question.
Yes, sir. I have a question, please. Sorry.
All right.
It's not related to the class today because I wasn't here. So the question I have is, if you're running all this configuration and you run into a problem, how do you erase the particular problem without having to start all over again?
Like what problem, for example?
Excuse me?
Because running into a problem would normally mean that the command did not work. So there'll be nothing to erase.
No, not really. The command didn't work. Let's say you add a file that you don't want, or a better example is you're adding an SSH, right? That you do not want to use a particular name or the particular SSH you wanted to add, and you want to change it after you've completed it. So how do you do that without having to erase everything that you've done before?
That would normally be to reverse the process that give you the SSH.
Okay, so what's the command for that?
No, it's not like a particular command. We'll be doing a lot of SSHing when we get to DevOps, for example. So if we mistakenly set up SSH to connect to server 7, when we should have been connecting to server 3.
Mhm.
So the command that set up SSH normally would be, because the real SSH in practice is harder than just what we are doing. We're going to take it deeper. Will be to the SSH key you generated, and then you send the public key to the server 7. You want to go back to server 7 and retrieve the public key and say, no, you were the wrong person.
Okay. And one other question is, so if you, let's say, I think one of the guys in this class has already asked this question, but I was going back on the charts because I'm so far behind. I don't follow everyday classes. I use the videos. So I think I already messaged one of the guys ran into a similar problem. I think they try to create what's it called? Link is Minnesota server with the Texas server. And the file that was created from either one of them was not seen. The other one was not seen. But when you ping the IPs, they can actually ping that is actually configured. But you cannot see file that is created either on the Minnesota or the Texas. So in another word, what I'm saying is I was creating assigning and moving from one server to another server, and I created on Africa, so I'm using the name Africa, create server Africa. And I could not see the files that was created on Africa to the server in Austria.
Okay,
which
so
is like
did you,
PCA and PCB. They can actually ping, the IP address is actually correct. You can ping each other together. But when you create a file and you say you want to go check it on system B, but it's not able to see it, but the file is actually on system A. So what could be the problem with that?
normally you are not able to see unless you SSH or you, what step did you take to see a file? Okay, let's put the diagram. Let's come here to share. Okay. So let me depict what you have in diagram form. Okay, so we have two servers, server 1, server 2. They're on the same network, so they can connect. Now you have a file here on server 2. Yet you can ping, and then you stay here, you are working from here.
Yes.
And then you are not able to see this file here.
Yes.
You'll not be able to see it. So what step did you take in order to see this file? That's when we'll know what to do.
Okay, so if I can remember what I did when I was playing with it was, give me a second. Let me see if I can refresh my memory.
Okay, but the only thing I can remember now to see that file is to stay here and SSH into this system.
So when you SSH into it, are you going to take the IP on this system B and SSH it to IP on system A, or are you still going to SSH system A IP and SSH system B IP to themselves?
No, the way to SSH is this, is to stay here, and then you say, first of all, another place you might be getting it wrong is the person who is SSHing the user account must exist on both systems with the same username and the same password.
Can you actually repeat that or do it in practical? Let me see.
Okay, let's do it in practical.
Excuse me, sir. So that you don't go ahead and start doing everything all over. Let me tell you where I think I've caught up with. I caught up with it. So if you want to assign the SSH, you have to go back to the network script, right?
Okay, to assign SSH, make sure it's the same user. Then
Yeah.
the second thing is the SSH command is at
That's
IP
the
of each
IP
other,
address. Right.
IP address of remote system. All right. So what do you need to do first in order to establish that SSH?
So the question I'm asking now is, what is the same user and what is the remote access? Is it the B or it still stays with A?
Okay, so let's answer those questions here. So same user will be Akin exist on both servers. Akin user Akin exist on both servers. That's same user.
I do not get that. Can we
You still do
use?
not get it.
No, I do not. Can we use the diagram that you have right now? Let's say, for example,
yeah, I'll do that. But let me quickly, then let me answer it your first for benefit of it. Then your second question was, we'll do that now, but what was your second question? Okay, let's do the one we remember. So I'm going to create a user account here on server A. So let's say server A's IP address is 192.168.100.21. And then this one must definitely be 192.168. No, sorry, dot 168.100.30. 22. Okay. All right. So then another thing is a user account Akin must exist here, and then the user account Akin must also exist here. That's
okay, so how do you make the user account Akin exist in both places? Because initially when you create it, they're not the same.
You don't know how to create user? Let's quickly go through that. Let's come back to the server. So we do have two servers here. So what server is this? So to create the user account Justin, it can be Justin now. So I come here and I see.
I cannot see what you're doing, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We're still on the
diagram. Yeah, let me share my screen. Okay. So we do have our two servers here, server A and server B. Look at them.
Right.
So let's log in. In fact, let's do the work now. That's the whole assignment. It won't take long. So here I see. Okay, so we have our two users. So on this one, I create a user account. To create user account, I have to be a sudo. So let me create user account. User sudo user add Justin. That is it. And then what's my password? All right, so Justin is created. And then if I want to take a look, I'll see, let me do cat, let's see, password. So where's Justin? Justin has been created. Look at it there. All right, so Justin is created. Now let me assign a username to Justin. The user password. So I'm going to do sudo password Justin. And then I'll assign password daily 2020 hash. Daily 2020 hash. Oh, that's not successful. So I do the same thing on the other server. Create Justin as well. So I go to the other server and I say sudo create user account, user add Justin. And then who am I? All right, then assign password to Justin. That will be sudo password Justin. Password is daily daily 2020 hash, daily 2020. All right, so now we have same user account on both systems. So what's the next you want to do? You want to put a file in one system and see if you can see it on the other system. So Justin must be the one working now. So let's go to Justin. So switch user to Justin. And what's Justin's password? Daily 2020 hash. All right, so this is Justin. Justin, go to your directory. Don't work in A active directory, so it will be CD. Yes, fine. So quickly create a file. Touch my test file dot text. All right. You want something inside? Echo. Nothing really. Oh, sorry. Should be
Going really far.
nothing really. All right. And put it where? Put it in there. Okay, I got my line. Put this in my test file dot text. Did I get the spelling right? Yeah. If we do ls minus l, yes, I have that file and it has content. Has content. Justin. Okay, that's fine. So I want to be able to see that file from here, right? So let me go there. And then from server 2, let me see if I can see server. I'm trying to move this. Okay. This is a different person, so I have to switch user to Justin. So who is Justin Daily 2020? All right, Justin is working on both, same user on both servers. All right. First of all, am I seeing the other server? You talked about pinging. Am I able to ping the other server? I forgot to check the IP address of that server. If config for this one, enp0s3. No, this something wrong. Sudo if config enp0s3.
Small
I know it's sudo. Huh? What did I do wrong? Capital letter F, right?
Yeah, small letter I.
Yeah, and I is not. Yeah. Sudo. It's not even with sudo, so I cannot do sudo.
No, the F didn't come. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm just rushing to. All right, so we got that. Now we know the IP address of this. Let's take note because we need it. We want to test connectivity first of all before we even attempt to check. What is what's the IP address of this one? If config enp0s3. Now we know the IP address. Okay, so you ping 20 and see. Are we able to ping that other one? Ping 192.168.100.20. That 20? Yes. All right, so far so good. That was what you got. You said they were pinging. Let's try this one. This one, are you also able to see 19? Ping 192.168.100.19. All right, so we've repeated your scenario now. You're able to ping. So the question is, why are you not able to see the file over there? So what did you do to see the file? You want to SSH into that one so that you can see the file there. That's the only thing I can think of. What else do you? What's the other method? What's another method? Okay, let's implement the method that I can remember now. The way to implement that method is to say SSH into that system. What's that system IP address? We just did it actually. Yeah. Instead of ping, we say SSH at SSH. Who is SSH? Justin at that place. All right.
You have to bring the IP together with the @ sign.
Yes, with the @ sign. Yeah. All right. Okay, yes. Justin's password, daily 2020 hash. All right, so we have SSH now. Okay, because the name of this other one, let's just be sure. Control C. The name of this other one is American server. All right, and that's what we are seeing here, American server. All right, so we have successfully SSH. Now you should see the file now because we're actually sitting on this server now. So ls -l now will show you the file. Is that what you meant?
No. So after you SSH, right, from your video, after you SSH, so I just saw that from here, you can actually you did your SSH from Akin, from Azure server Akin. But when I was doing the SSH, I did it from name server that I picked and network script. And it prompts me to either say yes or no. So it said yes, which I've already done all the assigning of IP and assigning the names. But what I think I didn't do is my two systems, VM machine has, VirtualBox has different names, which is the name that I used in opening it so I can know which one is A and which one is B. So I put in the SSH from name at country server network script, SSH name at IP address that I assigned, which was also working initially. So when I got to that point and I said,
No, I don't know why I don't know. I don't see the place of network script. Did you put it in the file? You put your SSH in that file where you have your IP address configured?
yes, I did.
No, it shouldn't be there.
So where would the file be on that? Where would the file be?
Which file?
The file you're talking about, you asked, I said I put it in the SSH on the network script. Where would you?
Let's check. You don't need to put SSH anywhere. You just do SSH exactly what we just did now. We don't need to put it anywhere. So if you want us to look,
okay, you
we can go and look at the
now.
network. Huh?
Create a file now and let me see if you can see it from the other side.
Okay. So VI and code. What? Oh, we are still here. Let's exit there first. So we are back to your server now. We just exited it. So let's just VI and create
my file.
Another file too. Right? What? Oh, insert. I'll not be able to save. Why will I not be able to save? Just another file. All right, so I'm done creating the file. So I do escape, right, quit, back. Okay, I'm not able to save, so sorry about that. Let me quickly escape. Quit without saving. Yeah, why am I not able to save? What am I? Oh, you're in the wrong place. Go to your own place, CD. All right, so this is your place now. So now you can VI now. And then okay, so let's save. Quit bank. All right, so you want us to view ls-l. So the file is here now. Another file too. Is that the file? Another file. So let's go there and see if you can view from.
So after, before you proceed, so one question, I'm looking at what you're doing and looking at what I did. After you VI another file, and you just went straight to view if the file is there, but do you still have to cut the file or not?
You don't have to, but if you, cutting is just to convince yourself. Cutting is just to convince yourself that what you put there is there, but I already trust the computer that what I put there is there, so I don't have to. So if I wanted to, I'll just say cat the file called another file 2.
Mhm.
That means I'm doubting Thomas. No, now that I've seen that what I actually wrote is there, my doubts are cleared. But I didn't have to do it. All right, so we'll quickly go here now. What we want to do from the other side now is to sit there and be able to access this server 2 from our Asia server. I want to access it from America.
Yes, particularly these contents that you put there. I like said, this is only another file.
Yeah, we'll do it easily. So we'll come back here. We're here now, right?
Mhm.
So we SSH Justin, because it's a user on that one. At that IP address, what's the IP address? 192.168.100.what? 19.
Mind you, you haven't SSH before.
Huh?
On the American server, you have not done an SSH on it before. Is that correct?
No, I don't have to do SSH. I don't need to do SSH. SSH is a command. I use it right away. I don't need to put it somewhere first before I can use it.
No, I mean, you've not done that before. While we're here, you didn't do that before you pinged. That's what I meant.
Yeah. This is the first time we're doing SSH from this server.
From this server. Okay.
The very first time, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they ask you, do you want to connect? We say yes. And then what's my password? Because I'm Justin, daily 2020. All right. So we have we? Where are we?
Yeah.
What happened? I'm not sure. Let's see. What's the name of this server? This Asia server. No, we should be in Asia server. Maybe we use the wrong IP address. What's the IP address of this system?
20.
IP if config.
I think it is 20.
enp0s3. It's 20, okay? And then what did we use here? We used 19 here. So we should have checked first. Look at what we used. So we are SSH into the same server. So that's not what we want. That's it. Okay, SSH into the proper server. The proper server is 20. All right. Yes, go on. I am Justin. All right, so we're now in Asia. We can see that vividly now. All right, so because we're in Asia, we now have access to all things in Justin in Asia. ls-l will give us that file. And you want to cut the file to make sure it's not abracadabra is the same file. Cut another file 2. And then you see it's exactly the same thing. Like I said this. In fact, you can even edit here and it will reflect on the other side.
Okay.
Want to edit?
I think I caught where the problem was. So what I was doing is my system A, I was still using the same IP that was already assigned to it during the networking process. So I was still using that as SSH instead of, because you're using two similar IP here, right? From Justin and Justin, they're both using .20.20. Is that correct?
No.
No. One is 19.
Yeah, one is 19, the other one is 20.
SSH Justin 192.68.100.20.
We didn't even know. We had to find out from this system first. We have to ask the system, what's your IP address, remember?
Yes, that's fine. I caught that one. But here, when you SSH, you said SSH, what I'm looking at now from the screen there, where did it start again? Yes, SSH Justin at 192, it's still 20.
Yeah, because we're SSHing the 21, the one with 20.
Yeah, that's my question. That's my question. So you're using the same IP from A and B. They're using the same to SSH. Is that correct or something? I'm missing something here.
What you are SSHing is, okay, we still
Because
have that.
you tried to use 19 and it did not work.
Forget about what I use. Just know that what you are SSHing is the IP address of the remote server. So to SSH, go and find out what the IP address of the remote server is and use it.
Correct. I get it. That's what I wanted to know.
Mhm.
Okay.
So don't memorize the IP, just find out the IP address. And then of course
So if it happens that you try to use, let's say A, you use now 192.168.100.20.21, and you still use it the same, it won't work. You have to use B to assign SSH to A. Is that correct?
when you are in A and you want
Mhm.
to SSH into B,
Yes.
then you use B's IP address to SSH
Correct.
into B.
Uh-huh.
And then once you are in B and you want to
And you want to
SSH
use
into
A,
A,
then you
then you
use
use
A.
A's IP address to SSH into it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the remote, that is the other system. Remote means the other system you want to SSH into, that is the IP address you use.
Okay. That's the whole, sorry for the time, but that's what I was missing there.
Yeah, as long as you get it, you are well, okay.
That's the particular.
I'll be waiting for questions. So any questions? All right. So if there was a third system and you are going to SSH into this system from here,
Mhm.
then what IP address would you enter here in order to SSH into system C? What IP address would you enter from B?
You already assign an IP 100 dot. I'm just not trying to quote 192.168.100 dot maybe 20.
No, you don't even know the IP address. So you don't have to put an IP address.
If you want to put it, but you have to assign it. Is that correct?
No, don't assign. Just tell me, broadly speaking, I mean, without, in terms of variable, without putting any particular IP address. So if I'm sitting at B and I want to SSH into C, so the command to enter will be
23.
SSH Justin at IP address. What would that IP address be?
Be 23.23.
No, not the IP address. Whose IP address will I enter there?
You enter the IP address of C.
Yes, that's the answer I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
I
I'm
enter
just,
the IP address of C.
yeah, I'm
I've
just
not
taking
given you the
the
IP address of C. It could have been .100.15, so you don't know. So you have to go to C and find out what its IP address is and put it here.
Yeah, because
So,
I've actually gone to that step when I'm using when I'm using my Cisco network to work for school. I've actually gone to that step. But when I was trying to do your own class and follow your class, I kind of missed that part. But here, you're required to have an IP for each one of them, 1, 2, or 3, system A, system B. So for you to be able to see it, you have to know how to get your system A and system B together. So I was doing it in my head when you were asking that question. But fine, I caught what you were teaching. So since I wasn't in class that day, I figured when I get here, I'll ask that question.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, well, thanks. I got the answer to it.
All right. Yeah, we still got 8 minutes for another question. Any more questions?
Yes, but the question, the big one is erasing all this configuration now without having to delete it from delete all, like maybe shut down the Linux that you created, Linux 1, Linux 2. Because I see your screen, you have Linux 1, Linux 2. So if you don't want to delete it, so what do? You still use clear or just as it?
If I don't want to delete what?
If you don't want to delete the VM machine that you already created on the Oracle bus, the Oracle bus that you created.
I don't want to delete my virtual machines, right?
Yeah, you don't want to delete it. You just want to erase all this configuration. Let's say Mr. Peter wants to come and work on the same.
No, I don't have any reason to do all of this configuration and then want to delete them.
Just an example, if you have, let's say you have a hardware shortage now, you just have one system and you want to remove all these things and let somebody else come and work on it.
I don't know the command.
Okay.
I don't know the command to undo everything that I have done. I mean, deliberately. I know it can happen by error, but my own deliberate command, I don't know it. But if you must do it, the best thing would be, instead of looking for the command, then just wipe out, delete the machine completely.
So the only option is delete the machine.
Yeah, maybe there are other options, but that's the only way I can remember. But a single command to say, you know what, everything I've been doing since, I want to bring. If you knew we're going to do that, another way would be clone the system before you did all of those configurations. And then once you are done with all of the configuration you have practiced, you can now revert the system back to the original state by reverting to, you remember how to clone?
Yeah.
In Windows? Yeah. That's another solution. Where's my clone? Okay, so I come here and I say this system, of course, it has to be in code state. I'll say clone it.
Right.
It has to be in code state. In other words, it has to be off. No, not clone, sorry. What is it? Somebody remind me. Snapshots. I'll take a snapshot of the system. So once I have a snapshot of the system, and then I'm done after 1 week of practicing, I want to revert to the clean slate way that it was originally. I just revert to. The reason snapshot is not appearing now because it's in the. It has to be in code state. It has to be off. Once it's off, I can take a snapshot. All right. So we have two solutions. Either wipe the machine or return to snapshot.
So basically why I was asking was because when you're doing switching and routing configuration, you can actually erase startup config, everything again. So I thought maybe this one has it. That's why I was asking if it does, but
yeah, well, maybe it has it, but I don't know that.
Yeah, because I doubt, since you said it doesn't have it, and I believe what you say, because I was actually thinking about it, like the way the switch, if you're configuring a switch and you're configuring a router, and you might just finish the work and you feel like you want to erase it and start it all over again, which actually helps. Which actually helps as a student or novice that we all are. You erase it and start again. Just try to use it to practice.
Instead of looking for the problem here and there, just start all over.
Master it that way. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because if you already put it in there, you already did everything. You have no need to remove it, and you might just be watching the video back and creating new stuff. I don't know about other people, but for me, when I was learning the switch and routing configuration, I just do erase startup config, it goes off again, and start all over configuration again. I was thinking this one can do that too.
Yeah. You know what we're doing now is actually like, it's actually live. What we are doing is live, virtual machine. Maybe for simulation environment, for learning, yeah, there should be some kind of button. You just click to restart and then start all over.
Good, thanks.
All right. Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, and we still got 3 minutes. Any more questions? 3 minutes. In fact, we can do 5 minutes. If you hardly ask questions, we can do extra 10 minutes if there are questions.
So last question, I wasn't here in the beginning, so I'm going to ask, when is this class ending, this Linux? When is it ending, and when is the next?
Let's see if we can finish what's left tomorrow. We actually covered a lot today. If we can cover yeah.
Oh my.
If we can cover tomorrow as much as we covered today, not even as much because we don't have as much left anymore. If we can cover tomorrow half of what we covered today, then we'll be done with it. Otherwise, it will extend till next week.
Can we extend to next week? Because the length of the videos are really long.
Yeah, but the videos are always there for you. So if we have reason, if we have genuine reason by way of, oh, somebody does not understand something, we need to help him understand.
Hey guys, everybody understand what Mr. Akin is teaching, I guess.
But they will have to watch the video before they come back to say, you know that part, just like you did now. Right. This part, I didn't get it, fine. But if you tell me you don't understand everything, then I will refer you back to the video. So let's see how tomorrow goes. If tomorrow goes well, everybody's happy.
But are we okay? Are we gonna have time for like revisions, like the way we were doing when we were asking questions and all that?
Yeah, you know, you've not been in class. You don't see how many times. By the time you watch the video, you see how I literally beg you to ask questions.
I know.
And nobody's.
I was working at the same time. My computer is on, so it's like I'm switching on and off. So when it's kind of,
I understand for you. My assumption is the same for many other persons. So I know that nobody will pay 600 and not be attentive unless you have something that's really distracting.
Yeah.
Yes, we could have that. But it just depends. If I ask questions, you answer, or you ask me questions. Normally, now, if it wasn't for this question, just this question, I should have closed like 20 minutes ago. But as long as there are questions coming in, yes, why not? But if there are no questions, then I can't.
Please, my team are big. Y'all should be asking questions so that I can learn. I'm not always here.
Yeah.
The videos, we need these questions. Anyway, thank you so much, sir.
All right. And I would this guy has not been in class. What's his name? Isaac.
I think he was in for a couple of minutes and then he went off.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should get feedback. If it's so difficult for some people, we know. If it's so easy that you don't even have to attend class, let us know. So one way or the other, we'll be able to balance. All right, let's continue tomorrow then.
All right. Good night.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Thanks.